So I got this great question from a trader on StockTwits. How much money do you need in order to trade full-time? Now, there's a lot that's going to go into that question. Are you married? Do you have a family that you're trying to support? Are you single? How old are you? Are you in your 20s, 30s, 40s? Where are you at in life? What kind of expenses do you have? And so because of all the nuance of this, I put together this diagram right here. So let's say that you're me, and this is the process that I went through trying to figure out how much I would need to trade full-time. So first was to look at the annual expenses, and for me the annual living expenses were about $80,000. That's living in New York, Long Island, Nassau County, and that's with a family of 3, my wife and my 5-year-old daughter now. So about $80,000 needed for that to support the household, just bare minimum. Then what are my trading expenses, right? So about $5,000, that's going to account for education, all kinds of software, the different trading platforms, anything that is trading related goes into that bucket. And so for me, annually came up to $85,000. Put in your numbers into this equation. Then from there, how much runway do you want to give yourself? You've got you, and you got this road, and there is your ultimate goal to trade full time. How much time do you want to give yourself to hit your goal? For me, I was very conservative, wanted to give myself 4 years, right? Like that's the idea in my head. That is extremely conservative. So step 1, you're taking your expenses, multiplying by your runway, and that's going to give you how much money you need to have in the bank. So that is $340,000 for me that I needed to have in the bank in order to start to consider that, because when you are going to trade full time, you're not going to be trading with this. That separate bankroll, that starting capital, that comes later on, that comes down here, right? Like you don't want to touch this is what's going to give you your factors into your runway. So if you start trading with this and that starts to go down, that's going to shorten your runway. So keep those separated. Then, right, and it's going to make it so much less stressful too. Like if you are having a poor performance and you're like, oh man, my runway is getting shorter because my performance, that's not part of the equation. Let your runway and your expenses and what you have in the bank stay completely separate from your trading. That's going to make life so much easier for you. I can barely put it into words. Then you have some other things to look at. First, what's your average annual return? Now, if you are not consistent yet, right? Like let's say you are a brand new trader, then this is not going to be for you because you don't have an average annual return. Even if you've been trading, let's say for a couple of months, maybe you have a year under your belt, then you haven't proven consistency to the point where you're able to not have a job, not do anything else, but just trade, right? You need to build up more consistency in order to be comfortable just being a trader and living completely off this, and where it's not messing with your head that you may not be able to pay your bills, especially if you happen to have a family like I do. So figure it out. What is your average annual return? Hopefully you have at least a year under your belt, hopefully more, and you also have a long list of back tests that confirm what your average annual return is going to be. For me, I've worked a long time, 50% roughly average annual return. Great. Then what is your worst case scenario? Right? Like what would be a bad year for you? Would it be 15%? Would it be 10%? Would it be minus percentage, right? Like, well, what is your worst case scenario? Because that's going to also affect how long it's going to take you to achieve your annual expenses and to be able to just live off of your trading. Finally, your starting capital, right? So let's say your starting capital is 100 grand, right? Like me. Then at 50% annual return, it's going to take you roughly 2 years to where you're just taking your profits out and you're living off of your trading. That's assuming that you're hitting that number, that you're not getting your worst case scenario in there, right? But this average return, it has some great years, it has some not so great years in it. It's the average. Go by that, but also factor in like, well, what's your worst case, so that way you're not going to get completely slammed if and when it does happen, and it could be that first year that you're out there trading. So these are the things that you're going to want to factor in to figure out, can you trade full time? Is it something that you're going to be able to do? And which of these variables can you massage to make it happen for you, right? Like, so for example, if I really wanted to make this happen and I didn't have as much capital in the bank as I did, what could I do to lower my living expenses, right? Like, I wouldn't want to really touch the trading expenses, because that's the thing that's going to continue to feed our trading business, right? So don't mess with the trading expenses. Figure out how you could potentially tighten the belt for your living expenses. Your runway should be your runway. If you're like, oh man, to get to that level of capital in the bank for me, well, whatever it happens to be for you, whether it's, let's say that you're working well with 10,000, but you want to give yourself 4 years. Make sure that you have that 40, but don't start being like, oh, well, maybe I'll just have 3 years. No, well, whatever your comfort zone is for your runway, make sure that happens. Otherwise, you're going to put undue pressure on you, and it's going to affect your trading. And then that's it. Those trading expenses, part of it should be how you're going to improve yourself, coaching, mentoring, having a team around you. Those are the kinds of things that will help you get from that point A to point B, to get from where you're at to your goal. Don't cheap out on your trading expenses. It's an investment in yourself. I'm obviously a professional trading coach, one of the best in the US. If you need help with your trading, drop comments down below. Come check out one of our live events. Go to marrowwealth.com and you could see all of the events there. We do weekly deep dives every single weekend where I'm going through the entire process and sharing all the tools with you. In fact, I just came up with a brand new tool that's going to be an absolute game changer, which is called the Trade Evaluator. I go through all the different data points that affect which trade I'm going to take. There's 97 data points in all. Before actually writing it down in this tool, I knew that there was a lot, but I didn't realize that there was that many, 97 altogether. And this is going to give us a composite of which trades we should take and give you a rating of what you should take. The tool is fascinating, and the way that you would get to see that and incorporate it into your own trading, I would help you develop your own. Come to one of these events, come to one of these workshops, marrowwealth.com/events. Get yourself a coach, get yourself a mentor. I'm here to help you, but even if it's not me, you probably tuned out of this video already, but you gotta get somebody. So that's it. I want to say thank you for sticking through this and watching. I'll see you again in the next video. Take care. Peace out.